Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Tullahoma has a cool and connected strategic plan, and we hear a little bit about it occasionally in the news, but really it doesn't get very depth a lot of times. So we thought we might explore a little bit what our strategic plan is all about and where it has us headed. And our guest to go over that with us is Winston Brooks, who is the community coordinator for the city. And he has been in the midst of all of this since the beginning. And so we'll have him educate us and tell us what it's all about. And in the meantime, before we get down to the cool and connected, Winston is around, but he's kind of quiet. We don't hear a lot about him, so let's find out what he's all about. Give us a little background, Winston.
Well,
and thanks for coming on, by the way.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's great to be here, Grassroots. And, you know, I was fortunate to be born in Tennessee, so I'm a Tennessean by birth in Memphis, Tennessee, and grew up. Went off to University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and then
How come you didn't go to Martin if you grew up in Memphis?
Well, it just wasn't on the radar back then. You know, it was in the late '80s, and
okay.
I always was a Vol fan, and my parents, even in Memphis, grew up taking me to the games on occasion, and so that's just where I ended up. And then went back to the University of Memphis and got a degree in technical writing, a master's degree, and went to work for a company in Chattanooga, an insurance company called Unum, and used to work in the marketing department there, and lived there for about 15 years, where I met my wife, Shanna Bobo, who was from the area. And by the grace of God, we moved back to Tullahoma several years ago. So it's nice to have the experience to have lived in each region of Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And how about your position now? Tell the folks a little bit about what's the community coordinator.
Sure. Well, the community coordinator reports to the city administrator, and my responsibilities are to assist the mayor's office in carrying out his vision, as well as supporting Tom Robinson, our director of the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation. And then a lot of other activity happens in between. Yeah. But it's a great job really just trying to promote and grow Tullahoma and recruit business and economic activity to the area. The mayor developed several programs when he came into office a few years back, like Get Fit, Go Green Tullahoma, the Arts Council. And so it's
he's full of ideas, and it sounds like you probably have something new every day when you come to work.
Every day, and then throw in public information officer, and you get some work with the fire department, the police department, which is at times can be very fun. And we're just great to have great leadership in our city administrator and our mayor. And then we have just shout outs, Police Week, Memorial Week, and then also to our firefighters. City of Tullahoma is very fortunate.
Very good. Let's take a short commercial break, folks, and we'll come back and get into Cool and Connected.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Tired of paying for monthly telephone service, expensive long-distance bills, and all those crazy taxes? Are you sick of spending money on telephone equipment, maintenance contracts, and service calls, all for a phone system that shackles you to 100-year-old technology and your desk? Stop it. It's time to ship your phone system to the cloud. What can the cloud do for you? Bring together remote offices, workers, and employees in the field. Make sure that you'll never miss calls by delivering them to multiple devices. Modernize faxing by allowing multiple faxes to be sent and received at once. And deliver to email. Get your voicemail messages instantly through email too. And take advantage of an endless supply of customizable features. Host My Calls can deliver the cloud. All of this technology with low upfront costs and not one penny in capital expense. It's time for a phone solution you'll truly love from Host My Calls. Call the number below.
We're talking today, folks, with Winston Brooks, who is in the midst of this cool and connected Tullahoma strategic plan. And so we wanted to find out a little bit more about what that's all about. You published a report in November, I believe, that outlines the program, and that's available online, folks, if you really want to get into this thing. And that, I think, was a result of a workshop. Is that correct, Winston? And how did all that come about, and what's the workshop? And you had a planning assistance team, so tell us about the how the organization developed.
Well, I'd be glad to. It has been almost 12 to 16 months since Cool and Connected first came up on my radar. I had read the announcement about this program, and I remember
Which is actually a federal program.
It's a federal program through the EPA and the USDA. And when I was reading and saw that they were looking for communities that wanted to leverage their broadband and also have walkable communities that were vibrant economically and fitness-wise, I knew right away, I said, well, this is Tullahoma. And so wrote the application and submitted it. And that was in 2016, and so it was about this time in 2016 that I got a call from the EPA, and they announced that Tullahoma was going to be one of the 5 cities in the nation to be selected for the Cool and Connected program.
Good.
So that was very exciting. And from there, then, we had a series of 3 pre-visit phone calls. So this team of made up of the Appalachian Region Commission, the EPA Office of Sustainability, and the United States Department of Agriculture. We're going to come visit Tullahoma and be here for 3 days through the workshop program and also a series of meetings we had. But before they got here, we had a series of 3 conference calls with the steering committee, with the mayor, our city administrator, planning and codes, the chamber, and myself, and went through several exercises discussing Tullahoma's, kind of doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, challenges, that type of analysis. Did a survey and developed the logistics for when they came here to tour the city, walk the downtown area, and then organize this day-long meeting that we had. And then we had about 35 people from the community. We put out invitations and announcements, and had a day-long meeting where we created strategic vision for Tullahoma using broadband and walkability as our focus to develop goals and action items that we could work on in the short term and in the long term. So that was a great exercise. A lot of great ideas came out of that. The day before that, they had a team of about 12 that came to visit Tullahoma, and they were all very impressed with Tullahoma, and it was fun driving them around in a 12-person van and showing them.
A team, and were these the EPA and USDA folks? Or?
That's right, and also there was the consulting firm that acted as the facilitator for the planning, and that was a firm called Vida Nuova, and they are a firm that has contracted with the federal government and done a lot of really big jobs with brownfields, and when you have military bases that shut down, going in and reimagining those communities to bring them back from that. So that was done in September of last year. And after the initial visit and planning session, we had a series of 3 follow-up phone calls developing the final strategic plan that you have referenced that we published. And that was in November.
November, yeah. And it's pretty ambitious, I must admit. And so it'll be interesting to see how well we carry this out. Well, listen, you mentioned the what they called an overarching vision statement. You want to tell the folks what that is? What is our vision?
Yes, I do. And in fact, I'm going to read it since I have not memorized it. But it really, if you listen to it, it is an exciting vision statement. And it says, Tullahoma is a world-class research, innovation, and entrepreneurial hub that leverages state-of-the-art broadband assets to create educational, economic, and cultural opportunities across the entire community. Businesses, residents, and visitors enjoy a connected, mixed-use, accessible, affordable, and vibrant downtown atmosphere. So, in that first sentence, that's kind of what I was mentioning when we started out talking with this group. What are our biggest assets here in Tullahoma? And that has to do with the research, innovation, and entrepreneurial. And so the giant economic driver here is the Air Force Base, the research center.
Sure.
And then, we are a very forward-thinking, innovative community. When the leaders put in the fiber network 10 years ago, that was pretty forward-thinking. And so this is an extension and a continuation of that infrastructure and how to best leverage those assets, because many rural communities are struggling to even have high-speed internet. And so
I noticed the legislature the governor, I think, just signed a bill providing state assistance to the rural areas to develop broadband.
And that's going to help the really rural areas. I always refer to Tullahoma as sort of an urban oasis, because it's not your typical rural community. And that has a lot to do with the demographics and the makeup of our community, and also the assets that we've put in place. So that bill that you're talking about will really help those communities that can partner with a private internet provider and some sort of electrical co-op. I'm not so sure it's going to do a whole lot for the Tullahoma Utilities Authorities and their broadband. Since we are sort of hemmed in by the
you're way
city
ahead of where
footprint.
that is. Yeah.
That's true.
Okay. Well, coming out of your vision statement, you first had 28 or 30 action items, and I think you finally boiled that down to some 16 or so. That specific things that you're going to do to implement the vision statement. So let's talk about 2 or 3 of those. Have you is there anyone that you're particularly interested in or putting emphasis on?
Well, absolutely. The one that is most important is getting the infrastructure in place to get a Wi-Fi signal in the downtown area, so that visitors can then go downtown and enjoy the free Wi-Fi. And whatever else that's going to entail. There's going to be many ways that we can use that Wi-Fi, and so step one is getting that in place.
Maybe we could. We're going to need to take a break here, Jiffy. Maybe we could talk a little bit about how mechanically how that's done. What's going to happen to downtown?
I think that's a great idea. We can talk about how we're going to do that, and then talk about some of the benefits of having it in place.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, with that, folks, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family. Over 75% of car shoppers today use the internet to search for their new or pre-owned vehicle. That's why the russellbarnett.com website is so versatile, where you can check it anytime, all the time, online. You can search through our new and pre-owned inventory by make, model, mileage, or price. We can value your trade-in and get you pre-approved for financing before you even walk in the door. So check out russellbarnett.com, and remember, why buy anywhere else?
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Winston Brooks, who is the community coordinator and is in the midst of all of the activities in connection with our Cool and Connected strategic plan. So we have talked a little bit about the vision that they came up with, and if you recall, there were 5 elements to that: downtown development, connected, which is really the broadband area, getting the community more involved and connected, improving our economic development, getting new business, new jobs in, and the planning that goes along with that. So with that, we wanted to talk, they came out of that with some 16 action items, and we wanted to talk about 2 or 3 of those. So did you had, you were talking when we went off about the one that's, I guess it's kind of the top of the list, having to do with the broadband development downtown, and Wi-Fi downtown. Talk a little bit more about that. How's it going to happen, and what's the result? What's the impact?
Yes, sure. So it's going to happen soon. That's the good news. We've been partnering with TUA, and they have gone through the process to identify, the bidding process and purchasing process. And so as soon as we okay that information, then we're going to move into the installation phase. And from my discussions with Brian Skelton, that shouldn't take but about a month or 2, because they will be putting outdoor routers in several locations downtown that will give a strong Wi-Fi signal to the entire downtown area. So this is going to give the opportunity for those businesses, but really for the visitors to the downtown area to use in a entertainment type of way while you're waiting or shopping or you want to look something up, and just create the ability for people to linger longer if they are in one of the restaurants or shops or something downtown, or if they were living in that area, they could take advantage of that. But once that's installed, the signal will go live, and we will begin to promote that as a benefit to being in the downtown Tullahoma area. And there's also benefits. We are in an area where we get a lot of pass-through traffic of people visiting the George Dickel and Jack Daniel and other stops in Tullahoma. And so as traffic drives through that signal, we'll be able to splash on their mobile device messages, about whether it's a message about a lunch special going on downtown, an event coming up, or something about Tullahoma's great gigabit fiber. We still have to determine what those messaging is going to be. But that's exciting, to be able to begin to have an impact on the visitors to Tullahoma and getting the word out and trying to pull them into the area. But then also people who are just going down to Tullahoma, the downtown area, to shop and eat. They'll have a real benefit there. And the other part of the first phase is to train the business owners in downtown Tullahoma. So we partnered with the Tennessee College of Applied Technology in Shelbyville with their IT department. And they are going to provide interns to come to Tullahoma and provide one-on-one training to the individual business owners, but they're also going to do some community seminars on marketing using the internet, Wi-Fi, and so I think the community is going to enjoy watching this process take place. Not only, will the individual business owners benefit, but then, like I said, we're also going to have some larger community seminars where anybody will come in and it'll be no cost.
Well, we're kind of concentrating on downtown. Another interesting thing that came out of that was increasing affordable residential facilities downtown, of which we have pretty nearly zip now.
Yes.
So what's the idea there? How is that going to happen?
Sure. Well, looking at Tullahoma, you know that housing for young people who maybe are working at the base or other places in and around the area, there's not a whole lot of apartment living or affordable housing. So we want to develop a mixed-use plan to put residential housing in the downtown area. And most of the downtown businesses have overhead space that's not really being fully utilized.
Yeah, they're all two-story buildings, really, with nothing. The store's on the ground floor and there's nothing upstairs.
Correct.
For most of them.
And so, Mayor Curley likes to promote a world-class vision. And if you look at some of the other communities, like a Franklin, obviously, which is, not comparing apples to oranges, but you go to their downtown area and you see what's happened there. They have all these similar type of buildings, and they have residential upstairs, businesses downstairs, which helps create a lively feeling and atmosphere when you go downtown, so that, after hours, it's not boarded up. And
after the stores closed, there's still somebody downtown.
Still somebody downtown. And the other part of that, too, is, these young families and millennials that you want to attract to our city, they also like to be able to move around pedestrian paths, bikeways and walkways, greenways and trails. And so that's the other part of the cool and connected that not highlighted as much as the infrastructure of the broadband, but that's another part that we're working on to develop and extend our greenway so you can bring people in to the downtown area other ways besides motor traffic.
Walkability and bikeability.
Yes,
yeah.
And so that's why the EPA Office of Sustainability was a promoter of this program. Was when you have broadband and access, people can work from home, so they don't have to commute. So that's a lot of the young people are doing that these days. There are people in the community that are salespeople, and they do really well, and they choose to live in Tullahoma because of the quality of life. And they travel quite a bit, but when they're at home, they have to conduct business online and through webinars, and so they have to have that high-speed capability. So that's another great opportunity. So if you can get all that going, having young people and just residents downtown, shops growing, restaurants growing downtown, and then you have all that connected through broadband and through a pedestrian network, then your community, you get people out, moving, lingering longer, and creating economic activity.
Yeah, there was, and along the same line, and I don't know how far this goes, one of your action items had to do with developing a broadband marketing plan, and that's a specific task and job, I guess. Is that coming along? Can you address that? Do you know where it stands?
Well, that's going to be a very important part of this plan, albeit it's more of a midterm goal. and we will partner with the TUA, the Chamber, and our Economic Development Organization to market Tullahoma as a cool and connected city, and brand Tullahoma that way, sort of like Chattanooga has done as the gig city. And so that will help us attract young families that maybe are moving to the area, and when they begin to look to see where they want to live, that's going to rate pretty high up. Oh, Tullahoma is pretty cool. They've got this, they've got that, connectability, but also in terms of attracting businesses, we want to be able to let those businesses that may want to locate an aerospace business here, or engineering, or software company, that you can locate a business here and not have to deal with Silicon Valley traffic or cost of living.
Okay. Well, guess what, folks? We have run out of time. There are lots of other things we could talk about, and maybe we'll revisit this subject one of these days. And so, meanwhile, though, we need to take a short commercial break. We're going to have to wrap up.
Buying a vehicle can be hard. It's even harder if you have poor credit health. But let the team here with Dr. Credit at Russell Barnett Kia help you. With our guaranteed credit approval process, we can help you find your next vehicle. But don't just take that from me. Here's a few of our customers and what they had to say.
They said they could approve us, and then the next thing was how much monthly. I thought it was going to be way too much. And sure enough, he did it what we asked for, what we needed it to be. He did it within. He will help you out.
Schedule your appointment with Dr. Credit at Russell Barnett Kia so you can drive away happy.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We're back, folks, and we've been talking today with Winston Brooks about Tullahoma's cool and connected strategic plan. And so there's a lot more we could cover. As I say, we may need to revisit this one of these days. But meanwhile, Winston, is there a particular issue you'd like to put to the folks directly?
Well, yes, Tom, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. This program really is about creating a better community for everyone in Tullahoma, and so there's a lot to do with this plan, so stay tuned. It's going to be exciting. Pretty soon they're going to see construction of the Greenway, which will brush the downtown area there at the bottom of the Lincoln Hill. And once we get the Wi-Fi network in place, there will be a lot of other activity that follows that in terms of being able to reach out to visitors and to the community, marketing Tullahoma as a cool and connected city. But the success and the definition of success as we defined it is really exciting. I mean, you go to these other communities that have people outside. The restaurants have made these little seating areas in the parking lot. They take up a couple of spaces, and they get a lot of activity. People are sitting around, and so that's exciting to get that vibrancy going on, and then to be able to develop these entrepreneurial centers where people are going to be working.
As you can see, folks, Winston is very enthusiastic and excited about this. So thanks for coming on, sharing it with us, and we want to thank you folks for inviting us into your parlor, and we will see you next time.